Today, we're going to be talking about how to have difficult conversations. I've done previous videos, blogs, podcasts on how to deal with difficult people. We're going to dig down into more on how to have the conversation, the tips, tricks, vital behaviors, best practices to having difficult conversations in a way that will produce very positive outcomes. Let's talk a little bit about human nature for a minute. Whether we're dealing with underperformers at work, a situation that's gone wrong at work, our spouse, our boss, a difficult client, we have in our human nature a desire to avoid those kind of conversations. It's in our DNA, fight or flight. And today I'm going to help you with a proven step-by-step approach for how to become more confident, less stressed, and create improved outcomes from having difficult, what is maybe after this not going to be so difficult, but what we perceive today in our current mindset, difficult conversations. I've practiced this for over 20 years myself, and in my leadership roles, I've trained hundreds and hundreds of managers on this process and approach, and I want to be able to share that with you today. I think it'll be a huge value to you. So let's talk about what a difficult conversation is. A difficult conversation is anything you find hard to talk about due to fear of consequences. And it's those consequences, those outcomes that we have got to change our mindset on. That's the dilemma, is do we avoid or do we confront, fight or flight? But as a leader in an organization, as a manager and a leader, if we avoid the problem, well, we tend to begin undermining our leadership, self-destructive. But we also work on our own confidence, because if we avoid it, we don't confront it, we don't take care of the situation, we don't change the course of something, we don't get across what needs to get across, we'll often in the end feel taken advantage of. That's not a very good feeling either. And sometimes our feelings will fester, those will build, and that starts working on us, starts working on our confidence. And more importantly, it robs us and whoever else is involved in an improved or successful resolution to the situation or the challenge. We also worry that if we confront the problem, things could get worse. So you don't want to have that in your mind, but you probably do today. I'm just going to avoid it. Maybe it'll fix itself. And friends, it never fixes itself ever. It only continues or gets worse. So in order to gain confidence, you've got to change you. The only person who can fix this, of course, is you. And you've got to change your mindset first. And the tips I'm going to share with you today, the process, the steps I'm going to give you are going to be the first actions you can begin taking as a leader, as a manager, to take things into control in a way with the blueprint to change your thinking and give you confidence in having these difficult conversations. Now, the reason why we avoid them is, again, fear of consequences, and we also have a catastrophic mindset. We very often naturally, if we're not hugely optimistic, hugely confident, well, this catastrophic mindset that most humans, if not all humans, possess, we fear something really bad happening or something negative happening. That's the consequences I talked about earlier. Here's a fear. And I often have said this, that fear can also be an acronym for false expectations appearing real. False expectations appearing real. So the key to all of this, and to avoid these false expectations appearing real, you got to shift your message delivery from a delivery stance to a learning stance. That's the first key to all this, is we got to change how we go into these conversations, where our thoughts and mind are going into these conversations. Really, every difficult conversation is 3 conversations. Now, some of these conversations are going to be internal, but let me talk about what these 3 conversations are.